The best humanitarian aid to Ukraine is weapons.
I consider it to be a kind of hypocrisy when some countries say, we are for peace in Ukraine, but at the same time they continue to trade with Russia and continue to feed their genocidal war machine.
And unfortunately, there have been huge delays with supplying weapons. The delays that for us cost lives. And that is probably the most tragic part of those delays.
Hello and welcome to Ukraine in Flames, a special project by Ukraine Media Center, an NGO Euro-Atlantic course, and I'm your host, Myroslava Yaremkiv. In the full-scale war with Russia, Ukraine is critically dependent on international aid. Without external funding, Ukraine would have had a financial collapse and would have been defeated. It is clear that Ukrainians are sincerely grateful to everyone who provides this aid and helps Ukraine stand against our terrorist neighbor. But recently, the significant reduction of financial and military aid to Kyiv started concerning an increasing number of Ukrainians. Since the survival of the country during the third year of full-scale war with Russia really depends on it. In today's episode, we asked 3 Ukrainian members of parliament about what the international community should provide for Ukraine, ensuring that the third year of war is its final one. If you want to learn more about this subject, please continue watching this video and subscribe to our channel so that you don't miss our videos in the future. In recent months, the issue of help to Ukraine has been at the epicenter of political confrontation in the United States. Additional aid to Ukraine, worth almost $61 billion, has been stuck in Congress. In the fall, a government came to power in Slovakia, which denied Kyiv arms. And in the Netherlands, after the recent elections, it is possible that the government will be formed by a party that opposes military aid to Ukraine. Ivanna Klympush-Tsintsadze, People's Deputy of Ukraine and chair of the Committee of Ukraine's integration with the European Union, wants to reiterate why helping Ukraine is a matter of global security and peace in every region of the world.
The best humanitarian aid to Ukraine is weapons. And this is exactly what we right now are more and more getting into shortage of. And unfortunately, our own production is not enough to cover for the need against the Russian Federation. That is not only using their own weaponry, but is using also the North Korean weaponry, that is using also the Iranian weaponry against us. And so for us, it's absolutely critical right now to get the decision, the positive decision of the United States, specifically of the military aid to Ukraine, because it's about munitions, it's about longer range weapons, it's about air defense systems as well. And that is, I think, the first and major priority. But on the top of that priority is to continue pressuring from the whole world, pressuring Russian Federation by real sanction policy. You know, for us, it's also important that Russian Federation, unfortunately, after the new rounds of sanctions are being imposed, that it finds the ways how to circumvent those sanctions. And definitely the sanction regime requires that many more countries do participate in the sanction regime, so making sure that Russia does not find the third, fourth, fifth countries how to ensure that they are getting the necessary parts for example, weaponry production, or is using the possibility to export LNG as opposed to natural gas through pipes to the European countries, for example, or are not using also the other possibilities to sell oil across the world, is not getting the possibility to continuously block our grain exports. We are very happy that we have managed to restore the sea route by our own efforts, the sea route of exports. But that's another kind of way of what we need from the world. I think it's about understanding that if we do not stop this aggression, if we do not make sure that the borders can be redrawn by force right now in the 21st century, then it will be only invitation to many other countries who are watching at this particular point the conflict that will start additional attacks in different parts of the world.
Western media and politicians expressed their disappointment with the Ukrainian counteroffensive in 2023, which did not lead to the results that they were expecting. But according to the former commander of the US forces in Europe, retired Lieutenant General Ben Hodges, the failure of the armed forces counteroffensive is the fault of Ukraine's Western allies, and not the military command or the political leadership. Hodges argued that the West failed to provide the Ukrainian army with everything necessary for such a large-scale operation, including air power and high-precision weapons for strikes on Russian rare lines. More on that, let's hear Alexander Merezhko, People's Deputy of Ukraine and Chairman of the Parliamentary Committee on Foreign Policy and Interparliamentary Cooperation.
Kyiv has a relatively good, reliable system of air defense, which is true because this period of time from the start of Russian missile flying to Kyiv, it's like maybe 10 or 20 minutes. But situation in other cities is more difficult. For instance, Kharkiv. It takes less time for Russian missiles to hit Kharkiv because it's located near to Russian border, or Mykolaiv. So, and that's why on a daily basis, these cities are being pounded by Russian artillery, Russian missiles, Russian planes. But talking about this war, we should bear in mind that Ukraine is fighting not only against Russia. We are fighting against the whole coalition of the states. For example, Belarus, legally, from the perspective of international law, it's accomplice in this aggression because it had provided its territory for Russia to invade Ukraine and to put in danger Kyiv. Iran is providing drones which are killing civilians. And Iran is doing this knowingly, deliberately. They know that their drones are killing civilians in Ukraine. It's also a form of complicity. North Korea, which has provided 1 million shells, artillery shells. So these countries are accomplices, and rockets. There are also some countries which are feeding Russian war machine by buying Russian cheap gas and oil. You know, when we were talking to our colleagues from the European Union, we were telling them, please stop buying Russian gas and oil, because by doing this, you are feeding Russian war machine, which kills us. And now, who have started to buy Russian oil and gas instead of the European countries? India and China. And I consider it to be a kind of hypocrisy when some countries say, we're for peace. We're for peace in Ukraine. But at the same time, they continue to trade with Russia and continue to feed their genocidal war machine. To me, it's a hypocrisy. We are for peace. Peace based on the UN Charter, on the principles of international law, including such principles as territorial integrity, non-use of force in international relations, inviolability of borders. And when Putin commits and Russia commits this crime of aggression, it's not only crime against Ukraine as such, it's a crime committed against the whole global community, against your countries. Because if you don't resist the act of aggression, your countries can be next. You create very dangerous precedent. You embolden potential aggressors. That's why it's so important to speak out, at least speak out. And when you vote for the resolutions of the General Assembly in support of Ukrainian territorial integrity against aggression, you support international law, global, it's known as rules-based order. To me, it's international legal order, an international moral order. That's why it's so important.
Defense Minister Rustem Umerov said that half of the weapon deliveries from Western partners do not reach Ukraine on time. This is a war where allied forces must ensure timely supplies. We have a plan. We are working according to the plan. We do everything possible and impossible. But without timely supply, it is very difficult for us, the minister said. More on the human cost of delaying weapon supply to Ukraine, please welcome People's Deputy of Ukraine, Inna Sovsun.
Well, of course, the reality is that Russian army is the second biggest army in the world. And that is a fact. Has it been, not as strong as many people believed exactly 2 years ago? Yes, it has proven to have its own weaknesses. It has proven to be not as efficient. It has proven to have, that it's not able to fight as effectively as people believed the second biggest army in the world would be able to fight. But it is still a big army. And in order to fight against such a big army, you need weapon supply. And you need support from those who understand what you're fighting for, just like it was in World War II. I'll tell you this, I was reading lots of books on World War II over the last 2 years. I think even over here, we didn't know, at least in our school curriculum, doesn't cover that much, to what extent American weapons helped win this war. The World War II mainly, right? The Brits, the French, nobody had enough weapon supply to fight against the army that was being prepared for years to fight. The American production did help the Allies win the World War II. And why Americans did that? Because they believed that war destroys the whole world order. And this is exactly the same situation. There is just one country fighting against basically Nazi regime in Russia, but it's still the same. Like, you cannot expect one country to win against such a huge army that Russians have built. That is why we need help from our allies, and that is why we are appealing to the world, not because it is unprecedented. There actually has been lots of precedent where countries who have been attacked asked for those who are standing on the same ground, who believe in the same values, to support them and to help with, including with the weapon supply. And it is indeed critical for us right now. And unfortunately, there have been huge delays with supplying weapons. The delays that for us cost lives. And that is probably the most tragic part of those delays. So truly, anytime I hear the debates in American Congress about, should we give aid or what amount of aid or something, it is extremely difficult to hear, let's put it this way, because they're debating while we are losing lives. And we are losing lives because we chose to go the path of democracy, of respect to human rights, something that Putin hates. But this is the same path that many Western countries chose and many other countries over the world are fighting to establish. But we're being punished for that. And people are debating to what extent help should be delivered to Ukraine.
You've been watching a special project by Ukraine Media Center and Euro-Atlantic course dedicated to the Russian-Ukrainian war, Ukraine in Flames. In the description under this video, you can find information on how you can help Ukraine fight Russian aggression. If you find our work useful, please like and share this video. Slava Ukraini!